Welcome to the MommyZen Podcast with Marianne Clyde.
Hi, I'm Marianne Clyde, and welcome back to the MommyZen Podcast. Today, our affirmation is, I embrace every opportunity, allowing for the most constructive response. Jay Morgan and I, he's the author of Fingerpainting and Psych Class, we've been spending the last few weeks talking about how to be a positive, conscious parent. And today, welcome Jay.
Hey, thanks.
We wanted to talk a little bit about reflective resistance. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, the chapter in my book where I talk about that the most is called No Reactions and Yes Responses, which you might say would be unconscious reactions and conscious responses. But if a kid pulls a behavior out of left field and it's really atrocious, inappropriate, it kindles anxiety and anger. We feel threatened as a parent, or our authority's compromised in some way. We feel like a lot of parents in their mind or sometimes verbally will say, no, you did not just say that, or no, you did not just do that.
Right.
And then they start coming up with things to say and do. And all of those things that they say, since they're still in a no state, a state of where they're still resisting the behavior and resisting what was said, are going to be met with more resistance likely. There's going to be little to no therapeutic value. But if you go through the process, and we kind of touched on this in a podcast or two back, is where you allow look for the, like in your affirmation, look for the opportunity. So this is an opportunity. It's not a calamity. It's an opportunity for me and my child to learn some things about each other, and you acknowledge the feeling you have. Maybe you begin to see the insecurity that you have that makes you feel like your child's threatening your authority. You let all that pass. Your mind clears out, and then you're able to come up with something that could really work, and that'll serve to keep a lid on things or even calm things down, so that you can have that connection.
Well, that's that old saying, what we resist persists.
Yes.
It's just that's exactly what I think you're talking about. It's the more you try to say, don't you talk to me like that. That's not going to happen. You're don't slam those doors. Don't, and it just emphasizes what we don't want. The kid doesn't hear the don't. He hears the slam the door. I've even noticed this with kids who will, like, if you say, don't throw that stone, or don't run out in the street, or don't, we concentrate on what we don't want them to do. Our imagination hears the statement, but not the negative. So our brain picks up on the throw the stone, run out in the street, slam the door, kick the dog, whatever it is they're not supposed to do, rather than stating it in a more thoughtful way. And I know you I think you have a chapter of your book called Breathe Easy. And and I have a chapter in my book about just breathe, and another one about detaching, and it's such a basic principle to give yourself. And this is not just in parenting, this is in life. I mean, in your marriage, at your job. I use it with people with eating disorders, and so forth, is to teach them to detach from the automatic reaction, the negative that they are automatically sucked into. If you can take that deep breath and just detach from the emotion for a second, it's easier not to be offended by your child's behavior or afraid. I think parents are sometimes afraid, oh my gosh, I'm raising an axe murderer all of a sudden because he pulled the dog's tail, or whatever, kicked his sister. We disasterize our kids' behavior rather than educate.
Yeah, and if that comes across, then in how we talk to the child or treat them, then it can become, to some degree, a self-fulfilling prophecy. So again, our communication can be magic, or it can be part of the problem.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I deal with people a lot when they use a statement as a disasterizing statement, or how awful their kid is going to be, or they never do anything right, or they'll never be a good student, or whatever it is. That what you just said about becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy is huge. We speak into our children's lives every single day. We need to be more conscious of what do we want the outcome to be, and speak that.
Right.
Like, I see you're learning not to slam the door so much, or I see you're becoming more gentle with the dog, or I really appreciate you're not talking back to me, and I know you have really strong feelings about what I just said, and just really taking time to prophesy into their lives the good that we want them to exhibit.
Yeah, and sometimes you can create an opportunity to praise. For example, if a kid blasts you, a lot of times you can say, lose the attitude, or go to your room, or whatever.
Right.
But, they've had a bit of a verbal release, an emotional release. So why not say, wow, you said that in a real angry tone. Can you say that again a little more calmly? Which, I think 9 out of 10 times they will. And then you've consciously created an opportunity to make a negative into a positive by saying, oh, well, that was much better. I bet you can talk to me more that way next time, even when you're angry.
Yeah, and that's great, because it's teaching your kids that they actually have choices, and there are alternative behaviors. And if they do what we're trying to do, is take that deep breath and detach a little bit, that they can actually be more efficient in getting the response they want. So teaching our kids that they have choices is huge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now, let me just ask you, because our time's running out, Jay, and I've loved these podcasts that we've done, but I know this is a hard question, but do you have some word of wisdom that you want parents to remember, one of the most important things that you can give them as advice as we close this podcast?
Well, I think the biggest aha moment I've ever had is when I realized that the negative feedback not only doesn't work, but it makes it worse. And I've followed that progression in my thinking and attitude and belief system to the point where if I have something negative to say to anyone,
Yep.
It's hardly ever automatic anymore. It's like, oh, how can I come at this in a way that's going to work and not be part of the problem or complicate things further. So it seems like talking about the problem behavior would have some merit, and it does, but I think only after you're so good and so fluid and so rich with spreading these positive affirmations that have been part of your affirmations today.
Yeah, yeah.
Get really good at those. That's the foundation. And then when you talk to a kid about a problem, they're more likely to be open because you've swung to where everything's more positive and just a few things. And so they go, okay, yeah, I get it,
Yeah.
and they're more open to it.
That's right. And your automatic response is not negative. It's encouraging them to be more positive.
Right.
So thank you so much. This is
Thank
Jay
you.
Morgan. Jay Morgan, he's the author of Fingerpainting and Psych Class, and it's a book. It's available on Amazon, and you really need to get it. So thanks, Jay. And thanks to you for joining me today. And remember our affirmation as we close today. It's about, I embrace every opportunity so I can choose the most conscious response. This is Marianne Clyde. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to the MommyZen Podcast. For nuggets of encouragement and strength throughout your day, follow Marianne on Twitter at mommy_zen and Facebook at facebook.com/mommyjustbreathe. Also, you can join our mailing list, leave comments, or ask questions by visiting mommy-zen.com.